I get questions all the time about escrow. What is that? Can you explain that to me, Ann? So we're going to talk about it right now. When you are signing an agreement of sale, it's important that you have skin in the game. That's what we call it, which is money consideration that you give early in the process, and that is your escrow deposit. Now that money, you're maybe concerned about it. Where's that money going to go? And it does not go to the seller. It does go to the broker for the seller. Now, a little side note, there are more and more agencies, real estate firms, who will not hold escrow. So you want to ask that question when you're going to list your house. Keller Williams absolutely holds escrow. So what happens to that money? Well, it's held by the broker, and then you're wondering, well, can I lose that money? How do I? What if I don't want to do the deal? And can I get that money back? Well, the short answer is absolutely. And let me explain exactly what that means. Now, I want to point out this is the laws of escrow in Pennsylvania. It may be completely different in other parts of the country. So, how much escrow? Let's start with that. Well, there's no formula that we use, but it does vary with the price of the property. So it would be a typical escrow amount to give about $5,000 for properties up to maybe $250,000. Then it ratchets up to $10,000. And when you get into $600,000 properties, you're going to be expected to put down $15,000 or $20,000, and then it goes up from there. So now, how is that given? Well, typically you give $1,000 when you write the contract, when it's executed, within 5 days. And then the balance oftentimes is held until you get through the inspections, so that you know that it's a solid deal, because that would be the risk period inspections. So now if any of those deposits are within 30 days of settlement, it would need to be a cashier's check. So you've submitted the first check, you've submitted the second check. By the way, keep a copy, your lender will want that. And then it's held for the broker. Now, when can you get it back? Well, there are typically 3 contingencies. One is for inspections, one is for a mortgage, and one is for homeowners association or some condominium association. So if for any reason, frankly, during the home inspection period, you do not wish to purchase that home, and there are very specific dates, so you would want to make sure you're within contract, then you can get that money back. The second reason would be for the mortgage. Now, hopefully, if you've been pre-approved, you've given a buyer's financial, you're not going to run into a problem with the mortgage unless you do something stupid, which we should talk about at another time. But you will, if the house does not appraise, that is part of the mortgage contingency, and you can decide you do not want to buy it at the, if it doesn't appraise for the purchase value, then you can walk away. The third reason is for homeowners association documents. The seller is required to provide those to you, and you have a 5-day review period. And if you decide to terminate based on, you got a big, a canoe that you wanted to put on your front yard and you're not allowed, you have the right to get out of the deal. We have very little control over when those documents come. Some homeowners associations are very efficient and speedy, and some are not at all. So when they come, just know that you're going to want to look at them. If you have not terminated by the end of day 5, you have deemed to have accepted those terms. So that is how escrow works in Pennsylvania. And if after you've reached contingency 1, inspections, contingency 2, mortgage, contingency 3, HOA, and you don't show up at settlement, the seller has the right to keep that money. That is called default. We don't really try to do that here. So If you have any questions I haven't answered, I would love to answer them for you. Put them down below or just give me a call. Thanks so much.